vehicle and asset finance from Absa, overcoming all obstacles.
Day 2 of the 2008 Toyota Kalahari Botswana 1000 Desert Race, and Hatsala Kladli with a little less than 250 k's of racing left. It was Chris Visser and Japie Badenhorst in the Castrol Toyota who were setting the pace after early leaders the De Bruins had hit a tree.
With the branding on their Nissan almost scratched off, it was a testament to the thorns and undergrowth of the desert. But Duncan Vos and Louis Weichelt were closing in on the leaders.
With another Castrol Toyota, that of Anthony Taylor and Robin Houghton, closing the sandwich on the Nissan filling.
Albertson Minute, meanwhile, had seized the lead in the special vehicle class after Hutchinson and Bergman had suffered a mechanical problem.
And it looked for all the world as if they had taken the lead on a permanent basis.
Alfie Cox had been ultra-consistent, and he was now up into 4th place, up one and steadily gaining ground.
And second in the special vehicle class, it was the Atlas Copco of Nick Harper and his stand-in co-driver Andrew Chalupsky.
Matthews and Smith were flying the Century Properties flag, and doing so with aplomb.
Clearly, very hard work in the specials in particular.
Ever consistent and a master at saving body and mechanical matter, Woolridge steered the Ford Ranger into view, and he was showing all his years of experience.
Up from 22nd overall.
Varioa, who had himself passed almost a dozen cars, slowly ground to a halt, looking for all the world as if their race had been run.
And that allowed Cronje and Bergen to streak past. But obviously just a very small adjustment.
And then he and Rousseau shot away again. Championship leaders Cully and Quinton Silvold had the bit between their teeth in their brand new, or perhaps not so new anymore, Bat Spec 4, and it also climbed several places.
With Whitehouse and Carlson up into the top 5.
Herman Silvold and Paul Hellberg were looking good and were slaving away, looking to hold the fort.
But in the production car class, the old warhorse was at it again. Hannes Schulbert blitzed the second day, setting a really solid time for the round trip in the Nissan Navara, putting huge pressure on the rest.
Former national champion Terence Marsh and his nav Peter Groenewald was super consistent, and from 28th overall they whittled their way through the field, despite battling wheel alignment, a super drive.
And in the P class, the brothers White were racing superbly and very much in contention in their Rubicon bands.
Swanepoel and Solomon in the IDM Toyota SP were also highly impressive and brought her home with some very intelligent pacing.
And the same could be applied to Henry and Maurice Matten in the Ryobi Nissan. After all, they hold the world record for the most consecutive finishes in motorsport.
That's right, Arnold, and one can see why. They handsomely led Class D.
While Peter Ruthven and Val Bossef were trying to get the Rokon bat home for the finish after a tough 500k round trip.
But the husband and wife team of George and Sharon Barkhuizen did bring home the SP and the Rokon family after a conservative day's racing.
And in Class D, Labuschagne and Gerber held on for a hard-fought second, 10 minutes ahead of third.
In Class E, Peckham and Santoro were driving like men possessed and set the pace.
With Cobus van Tonder and Rian Guapa getting stuck behind a special and getting very frustrated at the pace.
But the order was more or less established, and with the finish line of day 2 almost within smelling range, the art was to keep the car, body and mind together.
And in a special vehicle category where the eyes were a lot more red and sore due to day 2's dust, it was Albert and Minute holding off Harper and Chalupsky, with a charging Shamir Variawa and Siegfried Rousseau scaring them all behind and ahead of them.
With just 60 k's left to the finish, Vos had gone by, after which Visser and Badenhorst had gotten locked into a tremendous battle with Cox and De Steger and Taylor and Houghton.
And in a special class, it was Alberts who had the Rapsa bat well under his thumb, and he kept it right there.
Visser and Badenhorst were also still going strong, but they were keeping the wolves from the door.
Taylor and Houghton looked like they just hit it off from the word go and put together a fine run to prove that they will be a team to be reckoned with.
With Matthews and Smith in a superb showing, just keeping it going in the Century Property colours.
But Lady Luck again turned her back on Nick Harper. He just could not close the gap on the teams in front of him.
Ford supporters loved this sight as Woolridge and Schultheimer came through, desperate for a podium themselves.
With Cox in the Motorrad SP applying pressure from behind, but finding that his black and silver car was just not quick enough.
Cronje, with a much lighter body now, decided to consolidate, and just to keep it going with the overnight stop, he put up the fastest time on this sector.
With the championship leaders, the Stalwarts driving a tactically clever race in their defense of the desert title.
Whitehouse and Carlson kept up the pressure right to the line and clocked 7 hours and 51 minutes for the day's racing.
But none of them could keep up with Variawa, who'd raced through the field to shoot up from 23rd overall. A masterful display of driving in the sand.
Krobler's stop cost him dearly, and he knew that only a very solid showing on day 3 would get him onto the podium.
But his storming finish was just not quite enough. His 30-minute repair stop cost him very, very dearly rolled.
Indeed, Arnold. Martian Groenewald also raced up the order and at least had a start to another consecutive finish run on the go.
And the severity of the race was demonstrated in the numbers. 14 Class A cars started, only 10 remained in the race.
In fact, just less than 70% of the complete field saw the finish line of day 2 in one piece, a typically tough desert race in uncompromising conditions.
The Zermattens, though, soldiered on and had a storming finish, and the locals loved them for it.
And in Class B, it was the Adenko bat of Bez Bezuidenhout and Johan de Bruyn who kept it turning over.
And in Class E, Peckham and Santoro still setting an unrelenting pace.
At the finish line, though, it was a solid second day for Duncan Vos and stand-in co Louis Weichelt. They stopped the clocks on 7 hours and 33 minutes for the 500-odd Ks.
The Nissan Navara had again come through, and so did its occupants. Alberts next brought the Rapsa bat home, and very pleased with a great day as well for him.
For Vos and Weichelt, it was a long but rewarding day at the office.
Good so far. You just got to be so careful not to make mistakes. We had a misfire in the last 100 Ks, so that slowed us down a little bit, but it's just tricky. You cannot afford to make any mistakes, so you've really got to concentrate and keep the car on its wheels and not hit anything, because you're going to pay a big price.
Tomorrow going to be exactly the same, do you think?
I hope so. We've got to do a bit of work on the car, try and get it a bit better suited to the conditions. So hopefully we can find a bit more pace, but yeah, we just got to keep it all together.
Visser and Badenhorst brought the Toyota home next, and they were elated with a very solid showing in Botswana.
That was great. This morning after the time trial we had 2 flat tires, about 20 km from apart, so we had to back off a little bit because we didn't have any space. So we got tires at the alternative DSP there in Montop. So from there on, we started catching up the guys again, and it was very tight. Yes, it was very rough. It was very, very tight.
Taylor and Houghton raised some eyebrows as they brought it home third in the SP class.
Good. We had another flat on that run. We also lost power steering. We came on and off from about 20 k's in to after the DSP. The power steering kept coming in and out, and then eventually the last 80 k's just nothing. So yeah, it's been a hard day in the office.
And from then on, it was a stream of cars separated by seconds that sped to the overnight stop. For Ford, Woolwich and Scholthammer had a storming second half on their way in to the overnight stop.
Cox and Testierka placed themselves in the ideal position and would have been pleased with the fact that they would not be on too much of a dust dive for the third and final day.
Parker himself had raised Toyota's hopes with a superb showing and was in first place after having started in 12th early in the morning.
As things stood, with 400 k's of racing left, it was Cronje who was just 17 seconds ahead of Voss and Weichelt.
While the big logjam at the top meant that there were 3 cars within 2 minutes and 45 seconds of each other.
In the specials, the Rapsa pairing of Alberts and Minnaert were ahead by almost 6 minutes.
But then there was Variawa, Harper and Matthews, all within striking distance.
Until the 29th, when we show you the third and final day of the Toyota Kalahari Botswana 1000 Desert Race.
You keep it on the road,
We'll keep it off-road.
That